Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna go back to some gameplay, and I think now's a better time than any to do that because we got new cards, we want to see them in action, and the second set just opens up so many deck building possibilities, so I think it's gonna be really excited to see what people play in Premiere. So this game uh, is from the Take the Initiative Discord League that's online. So we played on Tabletop Simulator, and this was my first game of the season, so it was actually recorded the 1st of July. And I don't think I would have made that many changes if I played it today, so the deck is still relevant, or the deck list. Yeah, so we can take a look at that list. As you can see, not many 2-drops. We only have Mon Mothma and C3PO, and that's because Han can of course play 3-drops on turn 1. So we play a lot of 3-cost cards to utilize C3PO's drawing ability. So we always name 3 with him, and we just hope we hit something. Mon Mothma is good as well because there's a lot of rebels. And then, other than that, I would say it's a mid-range deck. You really get the good cards out and the value around 5 to 7 resources, and then you have home 1 just for like a end game play. What you really want to do here is you want to ambush Poe, Wrecker, or the attack pod. So we have energy conversion lab for that and timely intervention. Right now I have 2 for a cause in the sideboard. I don't remember if this exact version is what I played, but we might be able to figure that out while we review the gameplay. So I think without anything further ado, we'll just jump right in. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. So this was, as I said, my first game, and we're playing a Saxon yellow. And as we will soon see, this is a very space heavy deck. So space is something I've really enjoyed in set 1 as well. That's something I explored like at the beginning. Was it possible to build a space deck, but it wasn't that good with the first set. Now with new cards, I think it's gonna be a viable strategy. We've already seen many people post about the Tarkin yellow list that's been going around, where you just hope kind of put all your faith in the Lurking Tie and just buff that up, because that card can't be damaged or defeated by enemy card abilities. Yeah, but let's focus on the game. We start off with the Mon Mothma. I think that's a decent play, especially when we have a Wing Leader. Yeah, and they play Inferno 4. They started, so they're gonna keep the initiative. Here we have some more 3-drops. I really like Cassian in this list because you can play him on turn 1 as a 3/3. And the Smuggle ability is also very viable because he enters play ready, and then that's kind of a way to push damage when you have to finish the game. But here we can see the power of Saxon, given an upgrade to give +2/+1. So that Inferno 4 is now effectively a 4/4 in space. That's pretty hard to deal with for this deck especially. So here I'm gonna do a brain fart because I forgot he gets the +1 and then can just kill Bright Hope, so I would much rather play Wing Leader here. And then we're gonna see Gar going to base. He has all his resources up, so we're also going to attack with Mothma because we're probably gonna get the initiative regardless. Then we see the Mercenary Gunship or something like that. I think that's a really good card actually, even though you can steal it for 4 resources. I think if your opponent steals it for 4 resources in a later turn, you're quite happy about that, because then they just spend all their stuff to kind of stop your aggression already. And that's not the most effective way to do that. So here I use Energy Commercial Lab just to take out that Mercenary Gunship and give my Wing Leader +2/+2. This is really good because it's now up to 4 power, so it possibly could trade with the Inferno 4. but our opponent, of course, has probably a lot of upgrades in their deck, so they could buff the Inferno 4 even more. And here we see one of the reasons why Space Villainy, or Cunning Villainy, is so good in Space. That's because of the triple Dark Raid. So he gets to search his top 7 cards. He found a TIE Advanced, giving the Inferno 4 +2/+2. So now it's a 6/6, and I'm kind of scared of him doing the same thing next turn. So that's why I traded the Wing Leader into the TIE Advanced, because otherwise it would get bounced at the end of the phase. So here we play C3PO for 1 less, seeing a Wrecker on top, and then going base with Mothma for 3 damage. Our draws are okay, I would say. The Bright Hope is super important in this matchup. It's quite hard to deal with a 6/6 in space, even for Bright Hope, but it still might help us out. Yeah, they have the initiative, so we're gonna take 6 damage to the base probably. Here we're just hoping to draw some more cards. We found a red 3. It's not gonna help us that much, but could give our board a lot of power. Okay, so Survivor's Gauntlet is crazy good in their deck, because they can move the upgrades around to just gain even more value from Gar's ability. So here I'm playing Han and Bright Hope, just to draw some more cards. And here I maybe would have played red 3. Good, yeah. So use Han's ability again just to get some more in space, because apparently space is what it's all about in this matchup. Really happy to see that Fang Fighter, we can at least take out 1 upgrade. But probably not gonna be enough to help us. I think the 5 health that we've or the 25 health base that we got is very bad for us in this matchup, because when you play a space heavy deck against a ground heavy deck, then it's almost always a race, and that race is very hard to win if you start with 5 less life. But let's see how it goes. We don't really need to draw more cards, so resource this 3PO here. Gar Saxon is a big problem. 7 life is gonna be hard to deal with. So here I'm just deciding to try to raise, pressure some damage on the base while I can. Yeah, and now that racing strategy is probably not gonna pay off, because that devotion is gonna restore him too, and Gar Saxon now hits for 6. So here I think I've probably already lost, but I guess the only thing I can do is try to go face with another Fleet Lieutenant, or I could destroy the devotion actually with the Mandalorian Fang Fighter. I don't remember what I did, but have many possibilities here. Spark of Hope, as you can see, is in the list. It's not that of a aggro card, but being able to get to those 5, 6, 7 cost cards earlier is really nice. Yeah, here I forgot that Gar gets his upgrades back. Reading the card explains the card, yeah. So I just think, okay, I'm not gonna bother, just gonna go base. And then he hits my base for 9, and that's GG. So as you can see, that guard deck is quite aggressive. Maybe a 30 health base would have had a better chance, and as you saw in the beginning, this version of the list only plays 2 bright hopes. If I would play it today with the popularity of space, I would definitely play 3 and maybe put in some more space cards just for having a little bit of redundancy, or add some removal, like open fire for instance. But this deck was, when it was built, it was kind of built around playing only heroic cards, so you actually could use 4 cost, I believe in. But I don't know if that's the right call, because it's built more of a mid-range deck, and I don't know if 4 cost fits in that version. If we'd build it much more lower curve, then I guess 4 cost would fit more. But regardless, let's go to game 2. We have a pretty bad hand. I mean, the Bright Hope is nice, but we don't really want to start with the Fighters for Freedom. It's not the best. But it's something to play at least. So it's a 3-2. And now we're faced with a very difficult decision, because Fighters for Freedom has Saboteur. So we got the initiative, we could trade with the fighters and the crafty smuggler. But I don't know if that gives us enough aggression to kind of win the race, which we saw in the previous game. So I'm not sure what I did here, but I think I would play the Fleet Lieutenant and just go 5 to base. And then, yeah, our opponent gets a good trade, but we still get a 3-3 on the board, and we get 5 damage to the base. That's significant. Yeah, so that's what I did. It would have been possible to use Energy Conversion Lab there. Then I guess we would have cleared out a little bit more of the board. It's gonna be interesting to see if we find a better use case for it. I don't remember. Yeah, and here we go, back in space. Yeah, and now we get a really nice top deck, the Fang Fighter. So that's probably where we ECL, because we could use the Fang Fighter to take out the smuggling compartment, or what it's called, and then just ambush the Headhunter, and the Fang Fighter still survives. And right now that Headhunter would be hitting us for 4, so that's quite scary. Yeah, so we ambush. And here we could trade. Okay, I guess we do. I don't know if that's correct. As I said, this is a race that's gonna be really down to the incremental damage that you can do over the course of the game. So maybe that 3 damage would have been better, but still, then they would have gotten 2 hours. Oh no, they did get 2. Yeah. Okay, so here we had the possibility to steal the gunship. That could have been the right play, because no, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna upgrade the gunship that much. Yeah, they play a gauntlet, or yeah, that's 5 cost 4/6 in space. That can move upgrades. And here we're on 5, so we could play Wrecker. But I think Poe gives more utility. and you could argue that a 6-6 is better than a 7-4, but that's hard to tell in this situation. So we deploy Han. Then hit base for 3 and play Poe. Alright, not the best of draws here. I would say the red 3 is okay because we can get it out for 2. Akbar could be useful, we don't know. If we have 2 space units out, then the Akbar could take out the mercenary gunship. But now we also have Poe that we can discard a card to Poe to deal 2 damage to the gunship. Okay. Here you can see one of the reasons space decks are playing yellow, and that's outmaneuver. Like, that completely saved him. Like, we would have gotten 12 damage on the ground, and being able to do some shenanigans with Poe's on attack ability. So that outmaneuver was very, very valuable. At least now we know he doesn't have that many other things to play. But we just continue the race. Yeah. And here, playing the Bright Hope is okay to block some damage, but it's also a little bit risky because if they have an upgrade on the Survivor's gunship, or what it's called, the 4-6, then it can just one-shot the Bright Hope. Yeah, okay, so here we see Saxon again being upgraded and then surprise striking for 9 damage. So that's a big chunk of our health, going up to 17 now. And then the Survivor's Gauntlet, moving the upgrade on attack, getting the +1 from Gar, and one-shotting our Bright Hope. So now we went from a board state that looked really good for us into all of our ground units being exhausted, and then a board state that looks really good for them. So here it's very difficult to say if we should just race, hit with Poe to the base for 7, maybe defeat the gunship and remove the upgrade on the 5 costs, the blue one. Yeah, Survivor's Gauntlet, that's what it's called. Survivor's Gauntlet. I don't remember what I did here, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Resourcing the red 3, I guess that's okay. We already have one on board, and I don't think our opponent is going to do any trades. Wrecker with ambush would have been really nice, but timely intervention costs 2 to smuggle. So we won't be able to do that with 7 resources. And yeah, it looks like I decide to attack with Poe on Gar, and then discard Wrecker and K2 to deal 2 damage to the Gauntlet, and remove the upgrade from the Survivor's Gauntlet. Yeah, so deal 2 damage to the Mercenary Gunship, sorry. I guess that's the safe route, just dealing with my opponent's board. Because right now we still have lethal, especially with the Cassian that we smuggled, that we have in our resources. The problem now is that they could hit our base for 6, so I feel like I have to respect that and trade with red 3. Hitting for 5. But then here, yeah, we still have 5 resources for Cassian, but now I don't think we can kill, right? Because we have 9 on board and then 3 with Cassian, so that's 12, that's 29 in total. Yeah, so going base here with the Fang Fighter is a mistake because we can't kill our opponent this turn, and that means if they would now draw, yeah, okay, I guess they have nothing to draw. Even a surprise strike wouldn't kill us. But still, I think it would have been better to trade with the Fang Fighter just to be safe, still smuggle in Cassian, and have our opponent on 26 instead of 29. But our opponent didn't draw anything, just conceded. So we will go into game 3. And we mulliganed and got a, I would say, bad hand. I mean, it's still cards to play, and seeing Poe in your hand is always nice, especially when you can play him for 4. But our opponent got the Inferno Force Starch. It's pretty good regarding he can buff it with the TIE Advanced, as we saw in the first game. That's really, really scary for us. So seeing no space cards in our hand is a little bad, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah, C-3PO and Fighters of Freedom, not really what we're looking for. We have the Timely Intervention, so we could ambush in something later. But that extra cost of 2 is useful, but I don't think that useful in this matchup, because the matchup is so tight. You have to play great units for the costs and kind of always contest your opponent with threats. And then paying 2 extra for something, yeah, the ambush thing might save you, but I don't think you'll see it that often in this matchup. So I do decide to resource the fighters. I guess that's fine. We just try to pressure the board as much as possible with K2 instead. And here we have the big bad lurking TIE. So for this deck, or for this version of the list, it doesn't really matter, since I don't have any direct damage that could really deal with the lurking TIE. We of course have Poe, and that doesn't work because that's card abilities. Yeah, so it's gonna be a problem. And with drawing no space cards, it's it's gonna be a race regardless. So we go base with K2. We have 4 resources this round, so we could play Mon Mothma, trying to find a Bright Hope, and then play Cassian, or we could just play Poe. Or if our opponent plays some ground units, we could play Akbar, but as you can see, I don't think there will be many ground units except for Gar. Yeah, and now we got a Lurking TIE, buffed, and Surprise Strike, so that's 9 damage. And as you can see, this space deck is pretty fast. It's quite cool to see Smuggling Compartment actually getting some value. I think it's always fun when you see cards that you don't normally see in decks. And now he got, like, he's up to 3 resources again. He didn't have anything to play, but let's say he did. He had another spaceship that cost 3. That would have been amazing for him, getting those 2 extra resources. Yeah, so we can hit the base for quite a lot here. Poe can hit for 8, and then we can Rebel Assault for another 9. We still 3 damage off, but it kind of shows how quick or how fast this deck can go. But right now our opponent's deck is at least as fast and only has to deal 25 damage while we have to deal 30. So that kind of is to their benefit. But let's see how this goes. So we attack with Poe, 6 to the base, and then discarding 2 cards to remove an upgrade and deal 2 damage. And yeah, that's gonna be on the base. The TIE will hit us for 4, and then we're sadly, we don't have enough actions. We could have gotten lethal with the Han deploy, I think, but we can't do anything about that Inferno 4, and they can just hit our base for 4. So we get 9 damage in, 3 off, and that's the game. So that was best of 3. One game, lost 2, and I would say this was a really fun matchup. I'm gonna look forward to playing more space decks myself. I've played around with it, built some decks here and there, but I also think Han is really good. Maybe just have to respect the space threat a little bit more. Alright, see you in the next one. I've already recorded the game, so that's gonna be a Cunning list playing against a double red Sabine. Alright, see you in the next one.